Hi, this is Kelly from Freebie Finding Mom, and today I'm going to make for you a lasagna casserole. I've never actually made this recipe. It's my friend Marcy's recipe from heavenlyrecipes.com, and I shared this recipe in a post of mine on Freebie Finding Mom called Cheap and Easy Family Meals, I believe it's called. Let me see. Yes, Cheap and Easy Family Meals, and I'll put a link to that post in this post as well at the bottom after I'm done taping this video. But anyway, so I thought I want to try this recipe. I might as well share it with you while I'm actually making it for the first time. So it looks delicious. It also, according to her website, is called Johnny Marzetti casserole. So, and I didn't know what that meant, so I Googled it, and apparently it's a Midwestern traditional pasta dish. So you can get on Wikipedia or just Google Johnny Marzetti, and you'll see a slew of recipes like this one. This I think may be her original recipe because it seemed to be a little bit different than the ones I saw online, but I liked it for a number of reasons. One, this lasagna casserole looked really delicious, easy to make, and we'll see today, easy to make and very inexpensive. And at the end, after I've put the casserole in the oven, I'm going to show you just how easy and how inexpensive it was, because I kept the receipt of what it costs for me to buy most of the ingredients for this. And I say most because a few of them you're going to have on hand, like sugar and that kind of thing. But anyway, so without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started making our lasagna casserole. Okay, again, I've never made this recipe, so bear with me. I'm going to be checking her directions as I go. So right now I'm preheating my oven to 350 degrees, and I will say in her directions I didn't see a temperature, but I did see several variations of this recipe online, and most all of them were at 350 degrees. So that's what we're preheating our oven to right now. Also, and I printed this directly from her full recipe. This is my friend Marcy's recipe, and like I said, you can access that on Freebie Finding Mom by going to the Cheap and Easy Family Meals post, or you can go to the search bar and search lasagna casserole on Freebie Finding Mom, and you'll see it in that post too. So you can find it both ways, and it'll take you directly to Marcy's site, which has the complete directions along with her final pictures for what it looks like at the end. So first thing after, while we're preheating our oven, is in a large pot boil water and cook your noodles according to the box. Well, I will say I'm doing this a little bit differently because I very rarely will make noodles on the stove anymore. I almost always use my beloved Fasta pasta maker. And if you don't know what that is, I'll show you one of them. This is a Fasta pasta maker. It is one of my favorite things in the kitchen. Very inexpensive. As you can see, it's kind of stained because we've had this thing for probably 6-7 years and use it probably 4 to 5 times a week at least. I have 2 of them. The other one is in the microwave right now, which I'm going to stir. So 1 second. If you're not familiar with the Fasta pasta maker, you can find them online, or I'll put a link to them on Amazon here at the bottom of this post as well. And basically, this is the little cooking chart that comes with your Fasta pasta maker, and they are a great way to make delicious pasta. I promise you can get delicious pasta from the microwave, delicious pasta quickly. So like I said, I just showed you the one Fasta pasta maker that I have. But the other one, like I say, is already cooking some penne pasta for me in the microwave right now. So according to this lasagna casserole recipe, I need a box of penne or macaroni noodles. Just went to the store Friday, bought just a pound of the penne noodles. And so I put in there the max quantity for penne in a Fasta pasta maker. So yes, you're gonna have to do this in 2 batches if you do this in the Fasta pasta maker. Whereas if you wanna make your penne on the stove, absolutely fine. That's probably what most people do. I just love making things in the microwave. It's 1 less pot I have to worry about boiling on the stove, which for me is important because I'm usually distracted by doing 10 million other things when I'm cooking. So like I said, you can of course make your noodles on the stove. I just have opted to use my beloved Fasta pasta maker. But according to the directions for a penne pasta, The most you can put in at any one time is a 3-cup serving size, so that's what I have in the microwave right now. I used the level 4 of water. You'll see on the pasta maker, and I can show you actually with this one. They have, I don't know if you can see or not, but you can see the different lines on here for the water levels. And this one, because it included 3 cups of penne, you'll see it's a water level of 4. If you're just joining, I'm showing how much I love this pasta maker, and which I'm using to make a lasagna casserole. So according to this, water level 4, you're going to cook it for 10 minutes, and then you're just going to stir it, which I just did a minute ago, and then put it back in for another 7 minutes, which is what I'm doing. So that's what I have going on right now. So that's why I don't have a separate pan or a separate pot on the stove to make my pasta, because I'm making that in the microwave. So that is that. Now, with that being said, since I can only do 3 cups at a time in the pasta maker, I'm going to have to do a second batch for the remaining amount of pasta, which you can see is probably, I don't know, about 1/3 of a box left. So I will have to make a second batch in the pasta maker, but that's fine because we have other stuff to do, like brown up our onion and our hamburger. So, like I said, this is a recipe I've never tried, but I've been wanting to try. So the first thing after we're boiling our water or putting our pasta in the pasta maker, you decide what's best for you, is in a large skillet you're going to brown your onion and your hamburger until your hamburger is cooked through. So you're going to use a medium-sized onion, which I have here, and then you're going to use 1 pound of hamburger. So I got ground chuck. I just bought an 80-20 ground chuck on Friday. So that's what we're going to be putting in here with our medium onion. So I'm going to go ahead and chop up or dice up our onion here real quick. Hopefully, yeah, you can see that. And then I will go ahead and warm up our skillet here in a second. Let me get this onion chopped up here first. So like I said, this recipe is incredibly inexpensive. And so, like I say, I saw Marcy's pictures and I thought, oh my goodness, that looks so good. I really want to try this. And then, like I said, I was going through the ingredients, and it never fails. I'll see a recipe I want to try, and there'll be like an ingredient or 2 that are going to cost me like $7 each or something. And then I'm like, oh, that's not going to be inexpensive anymore. So that's why I like this, because everything was quite inexpensive and very family friendly. I would think even picky eaters, I would think, would like this, because at the very least, most would probably like cheesy pasta, even if they don't want to eat the hamburger or anything. All right, let's chop up our onions. So like I said, I'm going to show you the numbers at the very end of what it actually costs to buy most all of the ingredients for this. That beeping was my oven. I preheated to 350 degrees. Chop up my onion. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and warm up my skillet now too. I think that would be a good idea. So like I said earlier, if you're just joining, this is lasagna casserole recipe is also known as Johnny Marzetti, which I didn't know what that was, so I Googled it, and apparently it's a Midwestern, actually specific to Columbus, Ohio area recipe. So living in Ohio, I feel like I should have known what Johnny Marzetti was, but I feel like I heard of that name, but I don't necessarily know why I've heard of that name. But regardless, this recipe looked delicious, inexpensive, and that's why I included, it's my friend Marcy's recipe, that's why I included it in my blog post for cheap and easy family meals. Just warming up my skillet here. Now that my oven has been preheated, I'm going to go ahead and once this is getting warmed up, I'm going to pop in my 1 pound of ground chuck. Again, I just use an 80-20 mix. Let's get this out of the way. Oh, by the way, speaking of Marcy, my friend who actually does live here very close to me, oddly enough, she, like I said, she's a blogger over at Heavenly Recipes. But what's funny is that we probably live, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes away from each other, but we've never actually met, but we message each other all the time. So it's just, we'll have to meet. It's just kind of funny that we are always chatting online, but you know, we should just get in the car and go see each other. It's funny. But, you know, with that being said, Marcy sells Pampered Chef items, and she is actually helping me get ready to launch Pampered Chef items as well. So I will be offering those on Freebie Finding Mom here in the near future. I'm not entirely sure if it's going to be in the next few weeks, or if it's gonna be another month or so yet, because I've got about, you know, a pretty massive to-do list of other things I'm working on, but I definitely wanna get the Pampered Chef items up on the blog because I love their items, and I know a lot of you do too. Plus, I get so many messages from people, predominantly moms, of what can I do to make money at home? You know, are there any at-home businesses? I mean, I probably get a message either via Facebook or an email or a comment on a blog post at least, I bet 3 times a week, asking me, hi, how can I make money at home? You know, what are successful businesses that real moms can make real money? And so I get asked that so frequently that I've been searching for things that I actually, you know, that I'd be willing to promote and that I actually use myself that may be of interest to you. Because you please know that if I share like Pampered Chef, for instance, with you, it's going to be because I use it and I like it, not just because I want to promote something on the blog. So with that being said, Marcy, my friend, this is her recipe, as I mentioned before. She sells Pampered Chef, and she's going to help me start to offer more items on Freebie Finding Mom for Pampered Chef as well. Just chopping up my onion here. Let me break up my hamburger. You can see that, right? Actually, I'll pan over in a second. Breaking that up. I'm going to get ready. Put this onion in there real quick. Like I said, we're chopping up a medium onion right now. So yeah, be on the lookout on Freebie Finding Mom because I will start offering Pampered Chef items. Some of my favorite ones my most favorite Pampered Chef item, I can say without a doubt, is their chopper. You know, it's funny, I've owned 2 of them in the past, and the last one managed to disappear, I think when we moved into this house 6 years ago. But we used those choppers so much because, especially my husband, because he had a few recipes that he liked to make, and they just required chopping a lot of vegetables like peppers and onions, and the Pampered Chef choppers are just perfect for that. So I can't wait to start sharing Pampered Chef items with you on the blog. One I really want to try, truthfully, is the pizza stone. We've started making pizzas here at the house, and I just thought it'd always be so nice to actually have an actual, you know, Pampered Chef pizza stone to make pizzas. You know, it reminds me of when I was younger and I went to slumber parties at my friend's house, and I could think of one girl in particular who, when we would have either a slumber party at her house or a birthday party or both, her mom would pull out her Pampered Chef pizza stone and we would make our own pizza. So like we would get to pick whatever toppings we wanted on it, you know, and this is many, many years ago, but I always thought, gosh, if I ever had kids, I would love to do that. You know, it's a fun activity for them. My son is always excited about, he always calls it, I'm making a recipe. So even if it's just like dipping a graham cracker in yogurt or something, he's calling it a recipe. So here's our chopped medium onion. We're going to put the rest of that in there. In with our 1 pound of ground chuck. And I think I heard my microwave again. We're browning our ground chuck and our medium onion. I'm going to wipe this off while that's browning. There's that. All wiped off. Let me see if our pasta was done. Perfect. Good timing for that. So now I just pulled out my first batch out of the pasta maker. As I mentioned, I have to do this in 2 separate batches. So I have my second pasta maker now. And I'm going to go back to my directions where it'll say, other side, for penne, how much do I need? Serving size, say if it's 1.5 cups. I'm just kind of eyeballing this one. 1.5 cups of pasta. Let's measure it out. See how much I have left. About a cup. Okay, I have a little more than that. So there's about 2 cups there. So there's about 2 cups I had left that I need to make. And what does it say? About 2 1/4. It says put at a water level of 4 for 10 minutes. So I'm going to put that also in for another 10 minutes. All right, so just kind of recap, if you're just joining, we're making lasagna casserole. And right now on the stove, I'm browning up a pound of ground chuck in addition to a chopped medium onion. Love onion and ground chuck together. It's a good start for any recipe. And over here, we have about 3 cups of the penne, and that went into the microwave in the pasta maker, and that has been cooked through. And I will show you that you actually can make delicious pasta coming out of the microwave. Grab my lid, my pasta maker lid, to drain it. I'll be right back. Drained your pasta maker. And if you're not familiar, like I said before, with the pasta maker, I'm going to put a link. I'm certain there, or at least they've always been available on Amazon. And so that way you can pick yours up on Amazon. They are so invaluable and they're really inexpensive. And like I said, I'm going to turn this up a little bit. I love them because it's just one less pot to have on the stove when you're making, you know, a meal with a side dish perhaps for your family, or even just honestly just being busy with the kids and trying to make a meal. I love only having one pot at a time, so not having to make pasta directly on the stove and instead making it in the pasta maker in the microwave just is so much easier and more convenient for me. So that has been drained, and that I will just set aside till we are ready for it. Now while we are browning up, I'm going to kind of just recap for our lasagna casserole. In here, like I said, we have a pound of ground chuck. It was just an 80-20 mix. We also have a medium onion, which we chopped up. And then next, what we're going to do, like I said, we're browning this up, and then when that is done, we'll just drain it. Then we're going to go ahead and add our Italian seasoning, a little bit of sugar, some black pepper, tomato sauce, and water. And then we'll just mix all of that together. And then in the bottom of a baking dish, we're going to just arrange the noodles and alternate noodles and our hamburger mixture. So that's where it looks more like a lasagna, sort of, but yet also a casserole, which will pop then in the oven covered in aluminum foil. Her ingredient, my friend Marcy says on hers about 20 to 30 minutes. The recipes I saw online said a little bit longer. Most of them said more like 30 to 40 minutes. You'll just want to eyeball it. I mean, everybody's oven is different. The ingredients in her recipe are slightly different than some of the other ones I saw online, so perhaps it doesn't take as long to cook through. So you'll just, like I said, just have to eyeball it to see when you think it's done. Like when your cheese on the top is you know, melted and that sort of thing. I'll go ahead and open my cans while I'm waiting for that to brown up. It's browning up nicely. And like I said, if you were looking for a frugal meal for the family, this is definitely one to consider because it did not cost much to buy all the ingredients for this. Now with that being said, the one thing that always frustrates me, but I understand why they do it, this recipe calls for 2 cups of tomato sauce, right? 2 cups? Yes, 2 cups of tomato sauce. So of course I go to the store to buy a can of tomato sauce for my 2 cups, and it's only going to be 1 3/4 of a cup. So I'm like, fantastic, so I have to buy 2. But this is a great case that if you canned from the summer, this is a great time to use your tomato sauce that you made. All right, that is going to be done here shortly, being browned. And hopefully that will be done about the same time that our second batch of noodles will be done. That's my only thing that I wish the pasta maker people would make, would be a bigger one. I probably should give them feedback on that, then, because if they could just do it all in one batch instead of me having to break it up in 2, then it would be absolutely perfect. But that's all right. I'm still very happy that the pasta maker exists and it lets me make delicious pasta very quickly in the microwave. Like I said, I will put a link to the pasta maker that's available on Amazon. Because like I said, I'm assuming it still is. It almost always is. Because I've referred a number of people to it in the past. And actually, I will say, the pasta maker, on their directions, like at least mine years ago came with this cooking chart, and it'll tell you like how much water to add and how long to put it on for like macaroni, penne, shell pasta, egg noodle, that sort of thing. My husband makes rice in the pasta maker all the time. So, and you know what else we make? We also steam vegetables in it. So definitely don't just go by what the cooking sheet says. You'll get more adventurous as you own them, because you'll see that you can use the pasta maker for much more than just noodles and macaroni. All right, this is coming along. We've already preheated our oven at 350 degrees. And let's probably just have a few minutes left in the first round of this second group of pasta in the microwave. And I can't wait to show you at the end how inexpensive all these ingredients were. I really can. Actually, kept my receipt and I totaled it up for you just because I was so happy that it was a meal that didn't have a crazy expensive ingredient. And I think this recipe would be freezer friendly too. So if you're looking for freezer friendly recipes, I would consider this as well. You know, I wanted to make a version of this earlier this week, so I would have a final version to show you, so you wouldn't have to wait the 20 to 30 minutes to see the final. But it just didn't happen with everything we had going on this week. So I thought, I'll make it live for the first time. We'll see how it goes. But it just looks so good. I can't wait to eat this. So this is almost browned completely. And then we'll drain that. Let me check on my pasta over here. Got 2.5 minutes left. And again, for our pasta, we just use the standard penne pasta. In her directions, Marcy said you can either use a penne or you can use just a macaroni noodle. So I went with penne, but you do with your preferences. You know why I'm finishing this browning up? I'm going to go ahead and drop the recipe, drop the link to the post that contains the recipe, so you can actually see the full recipe as I'm doing this. I think that might be helpful. So I will drop that recipe in the link. There, now you could go ahead and go right to the full recipe, and it will take you to Marcy's website, where you'll be able to see final pictures as well. So what I'll do is when this is all combined, I will pop this in the oven, but I'm not gonna, have you wait the 20 to 30 minutes. Sorry for the phone. There, that's almost browned. Okay, that is going to be done in a very good time because my second batch of pasta should be done very soon. So I'm going to go over here and stir this because I think that's going to be here in 35 seconds. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to try to find that link real quick to the pasta maker on Amazon and put that up for you as well. Great, I found the link to the pasta maker on Amazon. I just dropped that in the post for you as well. And I stirred our last batch of pasta in our pasta maker. So in 7 minutes that will be done. It looks like our hamburger is just about browned up here. I'm gonna give that another 30 seconds or a minute, and that looks like that is good to go. So we will be able to add the rest of our ingredients, put it into our dish, and along with our pasta, and be about done here. So yes, check out the full recipe and the Cheap and Easy Family Meals post on Freebie Finding Mom, in addition to a link to the pasta maker. This is looking good. So I'm going to remove this from heat now. I'm going to drain it. Yep, because I don't want that to burn. I think she wants us to turn that off, right? Yep. Place the meat back into the skillet, then add that stuff. Yep, perfect. And then drain it, and then we're going to add the rest of our ingredients and start adding it to our dish. I'll be right back. Let me drain that for us. All right, that is drained. Okay. We have browned our pound of ground chuck in addition to our medium onion together. There we go. We've turned the heat off. Now we're just going to add the remaining ingredients here. We are going to add, it says 1.5 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. So what did I do with my there? 1.5 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. I will say this is one ingredient I did not have to buy because I actually did have the Italian seasoning on hand. So when I show you the cost of this recipe, this was not included in it because of I already had it on hand. There's that. My grinder is not coming out very quickly now, is it? Wonder. There we go. 1.5 tablespoons. 1.5, right? Yes. With the seasonings, I almost always just kind of eyeball it. This is just a traditional Italian herb seasoning. I also have a spicy Italian seasoning. So you use which one your family would prefer. If they like things with a little more flavor or kick, consider using the other one. There's that. Put in our seasoning. Stir that in. Smells so good. And my husband is someone who likes more flavor than less flavor. So to be honest with you, I always add a little extra of whatever they say. So you know what your family prefers. But her recipe says 1.5 tablespoons of Italian seasoning. So that's a little bit more, but you get the idea. There we go, there's the Italian seasoning. And then we add our 2 tablespoons of sugar. Wipe this off. tablespoons of sugar. 1 tablespoon. 2 tablespoons of sugar. Stir this together. 2 tablespoons of sugar, and then Marcy says to add 1/2 tablespoon of ground black pepper. That was 1/2 tablespoon. So I will kind of eyeball it. It's 1/2 tablespoon. It looks like about 1/2 tablespoon. Stir this together here. And I'll see how much longer our pasta's in there for, because that will be done about the time we need it to be, I think. Good. We're a little bit over a minute left on our pasta in the microwave. And then, what else does she say? Now we then add our tomato sauce and our water. 2 cups of our, she says Hunt's tomato sauce. I just used what was on sale at Kroger, so I will use 2 cups of this. And again, I had to buy 2 cans worth because 1 can only included 1 3/4 cup. Yep, just shy. So I wish I canned tomatoes and I made tomato sauce of my own, because it probably would have tasted better and I wouldn't have had to buy 2 cans. That's okay. There are 2 cups of tomato sauce in here. And then water, she says. Good, our pasta is done. That's the beeping there. 3/4 cup of water. Grab that real quick. Three-quarters of a cup of water. I will say I was trying to convince Ian to come down in his Halloween costume today, but he wasn't in the mood. He said he has to save it for Halloween day. So that's fine. He is saving it for tomorrow. Oh, it smells good. Okay. All right, let's make sure we added everything that the recipe says. So in the meat mixture, she says, back into the skillet, you're going to add your Italian seasoning, which we did. That was 1.5 tablespoons. Also our sugar, which was 2 tablespoons of sugar. And then our black pepper, which was 1/2 tablespoon of black pepper. And then tomato sauce, which was 2 cups of tomato sauce. And then 3/4 cup of water. Mix it together, and then in the bottom of a baking dish, we're going to put some of this meat mixture so our noodles won't burn. Much. I may add a different. I'm going to use this pan. I'm going to use another one, but I think I'm going to use this one. So Marcy's recipe says to spoon 4 tablespoons of the meat mixture and then spread it out. So 4 tablespoons. I think that's mixed together nicely. Should let me drain my pasta so it doesn't get soggy real quick. Is drained. So she says about 4 tablespoons of the meat mixture. And like with any recipe, I kind of just eyeball it. So, sorry Marcy if I don't follow everything exactly, but I usually just kind of do what looks about right. Smells really good. There. So basically we're putting that meat mixture on the bottom so that the noodles won't stick to the bottom of the pan. Makes sense? Okay. So then next, Mercy says to spoon noodles over the top of the sauce and then add another layer of sauce. So this is where it resembles more like a lasagna. So let me grab my spoon. Now these noodles are probably going to be a little stuck together because they've been sitting here a little bit. But that's all right. And our oven is already ready for us. It's been on for 350 degrees for a few minutes now. This is a really great family meal. I think even my son, who is picky about most everything, will actually eat this. He may not want the hamburger, but he'll at least eat anything with, he'll at least eat the noodles, I would think. Especially because I'm going to put cheddar cheese on top of this whole thing. So I think that will appeal to him. So good, we've got a layer of noodles here. And then we're going to add another layer of sauce. And I am just going to use my big spoon. I might add this layer. I love this idea. And by the way, you have to go to Marcy's site, not just to check out the full recipe and to see her final version, because her final version of this recipe looks so good. That's what, like I say, what motivated me that I have to try this. It's coated with cheese and just, I thought, man, that looks like a family meal that most anybody will eat, I would think. There, I think we've got another sauce layer on there. Looks good to me. Maybe a little bit more here. There we go. And this is freezer friendly too. And spin the noodles over. Let me check, make sure I'm following her recipe. Spoon over the sauce and another layer of sauce, alternating more noodles and sauce mixture until it's all gone. And then she advises at the very end to toss it together to coat all the noodles. Like I said, our noodles have been sitting here a little bit here, so they're kind of sticking together a little bit, but it's okay. That's all right. And I have another container of noodles too, because we had to make 2 batches in our pasta maker, as you can recall. And if you're just joining, you'll see that I added the link to the pasta maker on Amazon in the comments. So if you've never heard of them, or if you've heard of them and want to learn more, I encourage you to check it out. I've owned my pasta makers for, gosh, at least 6 to 7 years. Honestly, potentially longer than that. Love them. We use them every week. Probably, it's not exaggerating to say 3 to 4 times a week we use them. There's that. Good coated noodles here. Let's add a couple down here. There's that. Add some more sauce. This is going to be a good recipe. And again, this lasagna casserole, according to Marcy's site, is also called Johnny Marzetti. So if you have heard of it, especially if you live in the Midwest, you may already be familiar with a recipe like this. All right, we're running out of our sauce. So I'm going to try to add the remaining noodles. And then I'm going to do what she says, which is kind of toss it all together to make sure all our noodles have been covered. Because I have a whole other container of noodles. But this is a lot less. The other one contained about 3 cups, and this only contained a little over 2. I can see this is going to be a very filling recipe for the family. So if you have a lot of people to feed, in fact, if I recall, her website said it fed 6 people, and I can see that this easily feeding 6 people. Got a good layer of noodles here. And it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're worried that, oh, I included less noodles at the bottom or more at the bottom or whatever, based on her directions, it's not a big deal, because at the end she tells you to toss it all together anyways. So, not a big deal. I'll move this out of the way. gonna go ahead and just dump the rest of our pasta noodles in there. And then I'll toss it together like she says to make sure everything is coated. There's that. And then she says just toss it together. And if you'll see her final version on the website, it's not layered like, you know, you're not using lasagna noodles, so it's not going to be that kind of a layering. It's just that it's basically, I think that they separate it like this just to make sure that all the noodles have some sauce mixture on them, and so you just don't have plain noodles. Looks so good though. I can't wait to see this when it's all done. And at the end, I think we're including it. Make sure I've got everything. Yeah, we did our onion, our seasoning, and Italian seasoning, hamburger, sugar, black pepper, or macaroni noodles, and our penne noodles, although you can use macaroni if you want. Our tomato sauce we use 2 cups worth, and then 3/4 of a cup of water. And then she says once you've finished off your sauce, toss together to coat all the noodles, and then you're going to top it with your favorite cheese. And I chose cheddar because we use cheddar a lot. My son is a big cheese lover. So I think our noodles are pretty well covered. Get back in there. Hamburger. Okay, we've got it pretty good, pretty covered. I can't imagine somebody not loving this one. This is a very family-friendly meal. And everything's starting to look pretty well covered to me, or coated to me. Like I said, I'm just going to use what I have in the fridge, which is just a shredded cheddar cheese. You use what your family's favorite cheese is to coat it. Looks pretty good to me. And then we just cover it with aluminum foil at the end, and then you're going to put it in your oven for 20 to 30 minutes. As I mentioned before, I'm going to put just shredded cheddar because that's what we have at home and that's what we love. You use whatever your family's favorite cheese is. Like I said, online I sell other Johnny Marizetti recipes. Basically, they're just different versions, and they said to bake them for about 30 to 40 minutes. You just watch in your oven and watch your casserole to see how long yours you think will take. Check it maybe after 20 to 25 and see if it needs additional time. And that looks pretty good to me. So what I'm going to do now is just cover it with our aluminum foil. And Marcy also says in her directions that if you want the cheese to melt, you're just going to remove the aluminum foil. There's our aluminum foil. And I'm going to put that right in the oven. I'm going to put it in for 20 minutes, and before I sign off, I'm going to share with you just how inexpensive this recipe was. Alright, well, I hope you consider making this recipe for your family, but real quick, I just wanted to share with you the ingredients. Like I said, were just so inexpensive. You just needed a medium onion, you just needed 1.5 tablespoons of Italian seasoning, a pound of the hamburger, 2 tablespoons of sugar, 1.5 tablespoons of the black pepper, a box of either penne or macaroni noodles, 2 cups of the tomato sauce, and 3/4 of a cup of water. So I kept my receipt from Friday. I didn't use any coupons, just so I could share with you, real cost if you didn't have time to do couponing or shop sales and things like that. And for this recipe, I had to buy the onion for 57 cents and the ground chuck for $3.99. I did not buy the Italian seasoning because I just happened to have that on hand. So if you don't have that, assume an additional, I would say, $3 to $6 depending. And just on that note, when it comes to buying seasonings, consider going to like ethnic stores, because a lot of times you'll get more for your money if you shop at, like, say, an Indian store or something that can be significantly cheaper than shopping at your local grocery store. Just a frugal tip there for you. So also, I didn't add the sugar cost in here because I had 2 tablespoons of sugar at home. Nor did I add the ground black pepper, but I did add a box of penne, which was $1 at my store. and the 2 cans of the tomato sauce, which I had to buy, which ended up being $2.50 for the 2 cans, and then just water. So my total cost was $8.06. According to Marcy's website, this recipe would feed at least 6 people. So that means it's only about $1.34 per person. So definitely a frugal meal, which is why I included it in my Cheap and Easy Family Meals post. I encourage you to go over to Freebie Finding Mom and check out the Cheap and Easy Family Meals, and check out this lasagna casserole recipe. If you do so, you'll be able to click on the link that'll take you to Marcy's Heavenly Recipes website, and there you can see her finished lasagna casserole pictures. I hope you enjoy this recipe, and until next time, thanks for watching.